Okay, welcome everybody. It's the 14th of June. This is the regular meeting of the Rotary Club of Leicester. I'm Parmdeep Videsha, the president, and welcome to Pam Spokes, our guest. And do we have any other guests? Just having a look around. Can't see any others today. Okay. And yep, no worries. Yep. And do you have any greetings from other clubs? None today? No? Okay. And okay, so from my end, we have around just over £4,000 now left to distribute to our 5 food banks. They've all received around three or four approximately deliveries of food, each being £550 worth. So we've raised coming up to about £14,000 since September of last year. So it's a great effort from all the members of the club, and the food banks are very grateful for all the support that we've had, and we're very pleased. I'm very pleased we've got Tony here today. Tell us a bit about that. AGK is one of our food banks that we've supported, so that's going very well. And on the other thing I wanted to mention, Rotrack Club. Many of our road tractors have gone home for the summer, so unfortunately we couldn't do very much in terms of projects on the ground, but I am keeping in touch with them to try and get them up and running again from September when they return. So I'm very I'm positive around the projects we could do with them. It's just a case of having them here so we can get going. We've made good progress on the Evington Youth Centre. The people who run that building have now managed to find somebody to fix their roof. Because it was leaking, it was very difficult for us to go in there and paint and do other things, because obviously the moisture in the air would cause lots of problems. So they're in the process of sorting that out. They have managed to get the sports building. There's a sports section which is now ready for us to go in and do things with. So I'm going to ring Peter for a list of works that they'd like to have done there, and then I'll update the members and get some volunteers together, and we can get cracking there. And the other one, Netherhall School Project, which Diana is in charge of. She's done a fantastic job. Unfortunately, she won't be joining us today, I don't think. But she has done an amazing job. She's found a landscaping firm as well as a groundworking firm as well. So all the different parts of the project are now in place. And by the end of next week, we should have our favorite 3 garden designs from students of the neighboring Orchard Mead Academy School. And so they've done a very good job. About 42 entries we've had. So it's been a lot of fun looking through the entries and judging them. And so we should be in position to find a winning entry very soon. And then that will be the garden design that we then can proceed with. So that's progressing very well, and I'm very pleased with that. Okay, any notices from Barry, Secretary? You're muted, Barry.
I should just mention that at council, which has just met, we had a discussion about the resumption of lunches, and we think that the government announcement, which is expected later today, will prevent us from returning on the 5th of July. Apparently, a minister this morning was explaining the benefits of a 4-week delay without actually confirming it. And I gather there's to be an announcement later today. So we will look at that and then reconsider the date when we can go back for lunch.
Okay. And we've had very good response, haven't we, Barry, in terms of members who want to come back once we're able to?
Yes, and even those who've said they don't want to I would say are hesitant to come back initially, rather than saying they don't see themselves coming back for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think 37 or 38 members have said they would come back if we were able to resume at the beginning of July.
Yeah, no, that's great. Very much looking for, sorry, somebody speaking?
Palmdeep, may I just ask a question relative to what you reported on Nether Hall? When is that work going to actually commence?
The short answer is I don't know. I think we're waiting for the winning entry to be decided. I believe that will then be put forward to the various contractors that are donating their time and resources, and perhaps a plan will be formed from there. And also liaising with the school, I guess, as well. But it would be ideal to have it during the holidays, I'd have thought, because the students aren't there.
I specifically asked because I'll be attending a governor's meeting there on Wednesday afternoon. And I just, if there were any further information before then, it would be useful to know it. But it's perhaps premature.
I think Diana would be best placed, and maybe drop her an email.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No worries. Okay, anything else, Barry?
No.
Okay. Anything else from other committee chairmen or women? No. Okay, we can move forward to our speaker, Tony Donovan. He's the Executive Director of Age UK, and he'll be talking to us about the work of Age UK, Leicestershire and Rutland during the COVID crisis. So please take it away, Tony. I'm just going to allow you to screen share as well. You'll just need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's always a pleasure to speak to Rotary, and I've spoken at a number of Rotaries over the year. It's also nice when I actually recognise some of the faces, and I certainly recognise some of you there as members of Leicester Rotary. Thanks, as I said, for inviting me along. I'm always keen to talk about the charity. Some of you'll know a great deal about us. So I'll very simply sort of summarise what our main purpose is. Our aim is all about keeping people happy and well in older age, and very importantly, trying to ensure that they don't have to go maybe into residential or nursing care unless it's absolutely essential. So all the services that we deliver are all about enhancing quality of life, both for the older person and for family members. Very importantly as well, it's important for people to know that we're not a branch structure. We are a local organisation. Each Age UK is independent of the next. The largest Age UK in the country is Age UK Leicestershire and Rutland. The only thing that binds us together is a standard that we have to work towards called quality counts. And we're reassessed against that every 3 years. But other than that, we have our own board excuse me, of trustees that would meet regularly and with myself try and set the direction for the charity. And localness is really important, and probably during this period of the pandemic, people have begun to realise that more and more. And in Leicestershire, I think we've had an amazing response from local organisations to areas of need. All sorts of organisations have come out of the woodwork and offered their services to the community and done amazing work. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had to close down some services because they weren't in line with government sort of guidelines, but other more essential services, such as daycare, we've continued to deliver, but in a different way. And that's a service that's targeted primarily at the very frail, the very old. And we call it a keeping it in touch service. So we've closed some services down, hopefully temporarily. We've reinvented others, and we've also developed new initiatives as well. And because we're still in pandemic, I thought it probably is worth focusing on those. Thank you for the support Rotary has given to Age UK Leicester and Rutland during that period. In the early days, as you're probably aware, a lot of people were in shock. They didn't know what to do, particularly older people who'd been told to isolate and not even see family members or friends. A lot of them didn't know where to go for their shopping and other forms of practical support. So what we did, we set up a shopping service. We used people maybe on furlough. We used volunteers. We used local businesses who said that they wanted to help. And all sorts of people got engaged in visiting older people, doing their shopping for them, and also maybe assisting in getting them to hospital appointments and other essential appointments where transport was needed. And we were able to get those services off the ground very quickly. What we realised very quickly, though, and within weeks really, was that a lot of these people who were isolating were in desperate need of someone to talk to. And so what we did, we decided to set up, we've always done befriending, but not on a county-wide, city-wide basis, because basically we've only delivered that service where we've had funding. But with our own resources and also with the help of a number of local businesses, we offered a befriending service across the city and across the county. And the numbers of people receiving that service just escalated and continues to escalate. So many people in need of support, feeling incredibly lonely. And as you know, the biggest killer of older people is loneliness, and it can often lead to other issues such as drinking to excess and maybe other forms of addiction as well. And I'm pleased that I'm talking to you today, partly because I know some of you put forward your names and are now acting as befrienders for us as well. So thank you for that. What we also found very early on is that people needed a lot of advice, a lot of guidance. They didn't know how to handle a pandemic and all the practical consequences. And so we set up a 5-day-a-week helpline, and people were ringing that, 7-day-a-week helpline. People were ringing that every day, looking for all sorts of help and assistance. And again, with volunteer support, we were able to provide. In the early days, it was more about practical support with shopping, with transport, with cleaning the house maybe. But as the months have gone by and people have become more isolated, large numbers of older people have been ringing up with other issues. Some of them saying they're just not coping. The pandemic has triggered mental health problems, or maybe it's been a resurgence of mental health problems that they've had before. A lot of them are beginning to feel that their lives have no value, and that's why they were being told to shield. Some of them believing that the rest of us, the rest of the community, were blaming them for the pandemic and that they were the carriers and they were the cause. So lots of people have needed lots of help. During that period as well, I'm sure all of you have heard about the amount of domestic abuse. We've had a lot of calls about domestic abuse as well. We've had calls about people becoming short of money and not knowing where to go to get help. And we've also had people threatening to do stuff to themselves as well. And I think one of the great sadnesses that we've experienced with the pandemic is that people have not had the time to mourn. A lot of those older people have lost people they love, and they haven't had the time to grieve. They may not have even had the opportunity of going to the funeral, and that's triggered all sorts of problems. During the last few months, we were also approached by the NHS to say the level of vulnerability of older people was increasing. And as a result, more and more people were in danger of being admitted into hospital, regardless of COVID, but with other underlying health conditions. And they were also expressing concern that a lot of these people were being discharged back home without family support because of the restrictions, and because of that would go back into hospital again very quickly. So they gave Age UK locally and other Age UKs across the country money to provide sort of rapid support. And that support's taken the form of going into their homes, the homes of these people, wearing all the necessary protective clothing, taking all the COVID measures into account. And we've gone into homes, we've gone in and we've prepared meals for people, we've done the cleaning for them, we've actually got involved in personal care as well, and anything of a practical nature to take the pressure off, to stop people going into hospital or from being readmitted very quickly if they've been discharged. And there's evidence all around the country that this practical help has made a real difference. And the other thing about that type of service particularly, older people are actually having the opportunity of talking to our staff and our volunteers. And in some cases as well, where it's needed, we've been delivering personal care. As I said, I want to pay tribute to the many community groups that emerged over the last few months. But a lot of the good work that they were doing was being done by people who were furloughed. A lot of those people are now back in the workplace, and a lot of those community groups now have had to shut shop. They're no longer operating. But here at Age UK, we said we were in it for the long term. Regardless of the financial pressures it's placing on the charity, we're in it for the long term, and hopefully with our partner agencies. And so we're still out there. We've still got our food bank. We've still got our emergency helpline number 7 days a week. We're still running befriending services. We're still taking people to hospital and other essential appointments. And very importantly as well, we're helping people re-engage. When you've been at home for so long, not seeing anybody, it's very likely your confidence will go. And I think that's part of the problem now, for those of you who are still in the world of business, for those of you maybe in hospitality, and for those of us in the care sector. Despite the euphoria of conditions being lifted, not all of them I agree, but some have been lifted, but we are just not seeing the numbers of people using our services. I went into Leicester City twice last week during the day. The only people I saw in the city centre were people around the age of 20. In our own building, Clown's House, and some of you have seen this on television last week, which is a major resource centre for older people a day use the building. We're down to around 50 people a day at the moment. And the reason being, people are frightened. Even if they weren't officially shielding, they are nervous about coming out. And Barry was talking to us there earlier about things he'd heard today on the news without having an official announcement. It's all that uncertainty that's creating the fear. And my own view is it's going to be quite a long time for people to get their confidence back. But they do need to go out where they can. They do need to do their shopping. They do need to go and see members of the family. So one of the key areas of work for us now is saying to those older people, we'll help you. We'll take you to the shops once, twice, several times, just to help you re-engage, to feel comfortable, to realise all the precautions are in place. And that's a really important piece of work that we're involved with. And despite the euphoria a few weeks ago when families were able to see their loved ones again, the reality is that some of those sons and daughters, family members, are now beginning to struggle. What they haven't realised was that during the period of pandemic, mum or dad may have gone into it fairly well, fairly fit, but they've come out of it lacking confidence, maybe not having the level of fitness, mental astuteness that they had before, and they're needing lots of help. So the son or daughter maybe that promised to do the garden, maybe to do the cleaning, maybe to take mum to the shop, is now getting concerned that this isn't just a one-off task, this is a regular commitment. And perhaps one workplace, and the calls on their time are increasing, so much so that some sons and daughters who will often be in their 50s and 60s are having to make the decision as to whether they come out of work. And if they do, they're faced with a challenge. If anything happens to the parent, will they get back into the workplace again? Or will they be deemed to be too old themselves? And the other thing is as well, because of this level of dependency, a lot of sons and daughters are now being faced with the task of doing not only the cleaning on a regular basis, but they're perhaps being asked to do personal care. And to put it crudely, a lot of sons and daughters never expected that one day they'd have to wash their mum's bum. And for many, it's a challenge, and one they never expected. And even with my staff here, some of them are saying to me, Tony, I'm not a natural carer. I didn't sign up for this particular duty with my parent. And they're looking around now to see what help they can get. So increasingly now, we're talking to sons and daughters saying, we're here, and we're here for the long term. No matter what the task, we will try and respond. Whether it's a one-off task or if it's something longer term that you can't deliver on, maybe personal care, then come and talk to us and we'll see what we can do. And if the money is running short, we're saying, well, bear in mind that we help people claim benefits. And that transforms the lives of older people, but it also takes the pressure off sons and daughters who've got their own commitments as well. In terms of the charity, what's all this meant? We've been losing our income's down about £100,000 a week, primarily because of the closure of the charity shops, no fundraising, and lost rental income from our buildings. That's been really difficult. But we have put money aside for the rainy day. The rainy day's here now, and we're making all the investment that we can in making sure people are well and that they'll come out of this pandemic at the other end well equipped to cope with other challenges that maybe face you as an older person. So that's where we are. Our shops are open. So we're now bringing some money in. The footfall's not as great as it was. We're not achieving budget figures, but we've remained totally committed to serving the needs of the local older population. And I suppose our motto here at Age UK is we're here because we care. So thanks for your time, everyone. I'll try and answer any questions.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much. And if you have a question, please raise your hand and go ahead and unmute yourself. Just while members are doing that, Tony, I might just cut your video because I noticed your connection was a little jumpy. Sometimes we couldn't quite catch what you were saying, only very small minor parts, but if it happens again, I might just turn your video off if that's all right. Okay, sorry, Patrick, I think.
Yeah, fine.
You'll just need to unmute yourself, Patrick.
Tony, my wife and I have had the support of Age UK 2 half days a week, 2 mornings a week for about 6 years now, with both personal care and also with some of the heavier housework. And the service is absolutely brilliant. and the people that you have employ there are beyond description. I know from talking to other people who have support from commercial services that they don't get anything like the service and care that you have we get from Age UK, Leicestershire and Rutland. And it certainly, I mean, there must be hundreds and hundreds of people who are not here, who've managed to stay in their own homes, out of care homes and so on, because of the service that you get. So thank you very much. But also, I think finally, I just say if there are any other members of the club who need, but that would find it helpful to have things of this sort, you can actually pay the full economic price. You're not stealing money from the charity as such, but do think of Age UK rather than go to some of these fly-by-night or whatever commercial companies that are have taken over so much of this sector. Thank you very much indeed.
Patrick, thank you for that. And an important sort of reason for me talking to Rotaries and other groups, I do want people to take on an ambassadorial role. Getting old isn't sexy, as you know. None of us want to be reminded we're getting older. Some of us have stopped looking in the mirror because of what we see on the other side. But the reality is, you know, we're all impacted by age, but all too often people wait too long before they come and seek the sort of help, Patrick, that you've just referred to. And that's why we're really keen to encourage people to take on an ambassadorial role to let as many people know as possible about the many diverse services. I've only touched on a small number of services today, but our services are very far-reaching. Thanks, Patrick.
I just say, actually, one of your other services, when we reached the point when we needed this assistance. Now, we're both on very good pensions, so we could afford to pay. But in fact, one of the benefit advisors came round and pointed out that we're fully entitled to tax-free attendance allowance, which actually still pays Age UK, our Age UK things. So there we are. We're passing on government money to help out with our care and with the Age UK. And as you say, that's just one of the extraordinary range of expertise that you have. And I remember one of your volunteers came around, spent about 3 hours filling out whatever it is, 62 pages of complete gobbledygook and so on, and knew exactly what answers to give. Anyway, thanks again. Sorry.
And we are blessed, Patrick. You know, we've got people, you know, Barry and myself know each other quite well. We've worked together in the past, but we've got people with a local authority and health background and people from other backgrounds, professional people who've got this ability and this amazing ability to absorb information and then disseminate it in a very gentle way to older people, maybe needing support, maybe needing financial assistance as well.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? I have a question, Tony. I guess you've thought a lot about how the retail environment is going to evolve post pandemic. So, given that you're quite reliant on your network of shops as an income stream, where do you think things will go in terms of, you mentioned footfall earlier on, and just how people are going to be shopping in the future, online versus offline?
Well, I think, as you know, retail was in trouble before the pandemic. If I give you an example, most of you, if not all of you, will know where the old Phoenix was located. Between us and the Age UK shop on Hotel Street, there are 20 empty shops along that drag between Market Street and Hotel Street. And all of them have got to let signs above them. So the retail sector is in a difficult place. People are buying second-hand goods, so you would think that would be to our benefit. But I think what's happened again during the period of pandemic, people had more time on their hands, particularly younger people who've started to sell stuff for themselves, and so that's going to be a challenge. Whether we continue to receive, the sorts of donations that we require going forward, or whether people will choose to sell stuff themselves. I think the other challenge is, we're all dressed fairly informally today. Well, I was always a man that wore suits, and I think those days are just gone. People are dressing far more casually, and maybe not going out or going online as often as they would have done to buy clothing. So there are lots of challenges. We need to keep on top of things. Our shops sell furniture, bric-a-brac and clothing. We are looking now at having an online presence. We're a little bit late in the day with that. A lot of charities are already doing it, but that'll be the next step for us. We're having to look at all of our shops very carefully, because despite what people think, we pay commercial rents and we pay proper wages. And it may be that some of our shops really are no longer viable. That's going to be a difficult decision for us, because the shops also act as an information point. They're often the first point of contact between the charity and the general public. I hope we won't have to make any closures, but we are going to be challenged going forward. And as you say, the shops are our main source of income. And unlike the money that comes through on contracts, the money we generate in shops, we can use as we like. So a lot of the services that we run free at the point of delivery are actually paid for with money generated from the shops. So I suppose the message today for all of you, really, if you can help in this regard by asking family members and friends to have a good sort out of clothing they're not going to wear it again, and bric-a-brac and maybe furniture, then we'd be delighted to go around and collect it.
Oh, you come and collect it, do you?
We'll collect furniture, and if there's clothing with the furniture, we'll do that as well. We won't collect clothing on its own because it will cost us. Because more often than not, you're talking maybe about a bag or two. But furniture we'll collect. Some of you might be interested to know that we also do house clearances. So, say, if mum or dad goes into a care home, often the house is sold and the keys are exchanged very quickly, or the keys have to be given back to the council very quickly. We can go in and do a house clearance service. We'll charge for the service, but it's very competitively priced. And the lower the charge, well, the charge is based really on what we can get from the clearance. So if we get a fair bit from the clearance in terms of furniture and bric-a-brac, then the charge of clearing the house is sort of minimal, really. And we also clean the house as well, ready for the sale or the next tenant. And it's proving to be a really, really popular service.
That's great. Yeah, and I'd also recommend to members your warehouse. I've been to several times. The one near Lee Circle. I've always found some good bargains there.
Yeah, we've got a warehouse in Lee Circle. It's open 3 days a week: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Primarily, it is there for the whole community, but it tends to serve people in that local area who are people on low income. So we can sell at reasonable prices and prices at which they can afford, because they tend to be in transit. They perhaps have come into this country, they're living in a masonette, and they will move on. And it suits all parties. They benefit, we benefit, all the people benefit from the money we generate.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, two things. I'm now going to pass over to Chris Sol for a vote of thanks. And if members could go ahead and unmute themselves, I will send you all a message. No, hang on. I meant unmute. Ask all to unmute. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so please take it away, Chris.
Okay, well, thank you, Tony. I've been a trustee of Age UK, Leicester, Shire and Rutland for in excess of 20 years. And I'm always amazed about the energy and enthusiasm that Tony has personally, but also all of the staff and volunteers at Age UK. The amount of services they offer to older people is vast. Tony's covered some. There are many others involving dementia, the home help, and advice and information, which are really something that a great deal of people rely on. During COVID, loneliness has been highlighted. It's always been there, but it's there in abundance at the moment. And Age UK, Leicestershire and Rutland provide a service to those people. I myself have been part of the befriending service, and I've got 2 people I telephone every week, and they give back to me as much as I hopefully can give to them. So it's a great service that we offer to these people. It's a local service. It's our local community that we as a club have supported over many years, and hopefully we will continue to do so for many years to come. So thank you, Tony, and thank you everybody at Age UK, Leicestershire and Rutland. And if our members could perhaps give our gratitude and thanks in the usual way.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tony. Keep up the good work.
Thanks very much indeed. And if we can be of help to any of you or your families, just let me know. You can feel free to contact me directly as well.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
very much. Okay, we would normally have an
I'll leave
update.
you at this point.
We would normally have an update from Richard Power at this point, but he's not going to be with us for another week or so. So when he is, we'll get an update on what's happening with the COVID situation locally. We have had just over 20 attendants today, down to 19 now. A couple of people had to leave early. We don't have any meetings after lunch today. Next week is our second business meeting, so we will not be having a speaker. And yeah, so this meeting now stands adjourned, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care, stay safe.
Bye. Nice to see you all. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to see you again, Muriel.
Yeah, nice to see you. Take care.
See you next week.
Medfina did say she'll do something for us, but when she's not too busy, probably around July, August.
Yeah, the person to liaise with will be Ed, who does the speaker finding.
Okay, yeah.
I'll put you in touch. Yeah, so once you know,
yeah,
then I'll put you in touch with Ed, and he'll.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.